All right. Are we live? There we go. It says we're live. How we doing, everybody? Welcome to Word Balloon, the comic book conversation show. It's John Suntress. It's late night, and I'm very happy that Karina Bechko and Gabe Hardman are joining us tonight to talk about a ton of things. We're going to talk about old Hollywood and new Hollywood and some TV and comics talk as well. But welcome, everybody. Good to see you guys.
Oh, good to see you, John.
Good to see you.
Absolutely, man. Let's plug some stuff that's out there, and especially as people are locked in and need something to, kind of waste time. And one of my favorite things that you guys put out in the last couple of years was the Green Lantern Earth One graphic novel, and that was a beautiful thing and a great, fresh spin on the Hal Jordan concept.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, I don't know. As much as you want to talk about it in terms of,
we supposed to talk now. Sorry.
Yeah, well, exactly. Now I'm done talking. Yeah, describe the book for people who haven't read it yet.
Yeah, no, I mean it was part of the Earth One series of books, but which are not in any way connected. So it's not like you had to have read other ones to understand it. It's really just a sort of fresh-ish sci-fi angle on the Green Lantern story. It's a Hal Jordan story, but it's not. He's not quite as much the stoic, perfect test pilot character that everybody's familiar with. It's more like it's a little more grounded take, even though he's literally not grounded. He's in space the entire time. So and we mix a little bit of kind of darker sci-fi elements into it, the kind of stuff that we like to do. But we're still very much trying to tell a story that's true to the Green Lantern books. And the sci-fi angle of the Green Lantern books, particularly coming out of the Silver Age. Yeah.
That's cool. Karina, did you read that stuff to prep, or how did the collaboration from a writing standpoint happen?
We read a lot of it, beforehand. But also, it's interesting to me that right now, all of a sudden, it's been out for a while, but we just found out that I guess it was one of the top digital sellers last week.
Like on Comixology,
yeah. Outstanding.
In the top 10. So I was surprised because we haven't, obviously there's not been a lot of news around it or whatever. Yeah. But I think that what we really tried to do was make it so that anyone, if you're a fan, you could read it. But if you were new to the character, you could also read it. And I feel like, hopefully that worked because people seem to be reading it. So.
Yeah, and the reception was really good, and we got nominated for an Eisner, and it was very positive. You'd think there'd be a sequel. You'd think, as a matter of fact, that we wrote and drew a 132-page sequel to it, but I don't know. I guess not. Maybe we'll find out about that at some point.
Well, I hope, because I was speaking to and I'll be name dropping, of course, as I always do on Word Balloon. But I was talking to Jeff Johns last week, and he told me that Volume 3 of the Batman Earth One is happening, and they're just finishing it up. And I think once printing is back in production, we'll see that. And I would certainly hope so. And maybe because there is another Green Lantern movie in the works, maybe in time for that we might see Volume 2.
Yeah,
I would hope that it would be sooner than that.
I understand.
Of course, we can say.
Yeah, who knows? We may or may not have already made the book. You never know.
All right, that's good to know. All right, excellent. Now I'm reading the tea leaves.
We're just not allowed to say.
I'm slow. I understand, but I think we all know. That's good. That's excellent, man. Hey, Gabe, I was asking you because I thought I had heard correctly. Didn't you among the many storyboards that you've done over the years, stuff from last year that came out, Ford versus Ferrari.
Yeah, with Jim Mangold. Yeah,
yes.
That I enjoyed that movie. I was not a racing fan before that. I didn't really know anything about Le Mans or any of that stuff. But even working on it is super interesting. It's super interesting to look into that stuff and be able, see the research and draw now dead Ford executives from the 60s, and and obviously all the racing stuff as well. But yeah, I worked with Jim Mangold on that, who I'd worked with on Logan before. And, we get along really well. He's a classic movie guy. We have a lot in common as far as just reference points and stuff. And we, we went, Karina and I went to the premiere at the Chinese, and it was, and that was a great experience because seeing it, that's a movie you want to see in a theater, a thing that no one can do anymore or will ever again. And and like, I feel like seeing it on that huge screen and like with the impact of that was just so awesome. And, I'm very pleased with how the movie came out.
I understand. No, that's great. All right. Obviously, I'm having issues. I was trying to show some screen art of various storyboard moments and stuff, and they're a great shot of the driver and stuff. Very, very on me video.
Well, everybody will just have to take your word for it.
I understand exactly. Gabe, honestly, man, I was going through the whole pantheon of stuff and really so many great images and So, and James Mangold, you guys worked on Logan together, right?
Yeah, Logan. Yeah, we'd actually worked on a movie before that too. That didn't happen at the last minute. That was sort of a detective type, like a modern day detective movie with that would have had also starred Christian Bale, and that's how I met him. And we worked on that for actually quite a while. And then it went down like at the last minute before they were going to shoot it, and then came back for Logan. And, I was very skeptical at first that it was worth doing that. I didn't really want to do the third sequel to a movie that I would say that I wasn't interested in the previous Logan movies, but I didn't see the previous Logan movies. So but it seemed like, I've done some third sequels and it never really works out. And
Spider-Man 3, Dark Knight Rises.
But in talking to Jim about it, I felt like they really wanted to make a movie. They wanted to make a Western. They wanted to make something that like felt, not like a third superhero movie, but a movie unto itself. And that went through a lot of iterations in the script over the time that I was working on it, but I was ultimately really pleased how that worked out as well. So I was glad to come back for Ford and Ferrari, and I've worked with him again on something that I don't know why I just said that because there's no way that I can talk about what it is.
All right, fair enough. And I guess, am I right? Did he direct Ad Astra?
No.
Okay, it was another director. Excuse me.
Yeah, there was also a Fox movie, but that was I can't remember the guy's name.
Yeah. So, God, while we're on the subject, and of course, you guys wrote Green Lantern as kind of like you said, it was really an astronaut story rather than a test pilot story. Mm-hmm. What do you guys think of Ad Astra? I find it interesting that there are kind of two camps.
We didn't actually see it. I have to say, we didn't get around to it. I don't know. It came out at a time. I was like heavy into a movie. I was working on reshoots for Call of the Wild.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So
which is actually a movie I worked on like a year and a half earlier than that at the very earliest stages of it. And then things happened to it along the way. And I came back at the end for, to board some reshoots. And, I haven't seen the movie. I'm sure it worked out great.
There you go. Okay, fair enough. Now I hear the rattling of what I'm assuming is a dog.
Shit!
No! Shut up! It's fine. I love dogs. Are you kidding? I'm going to make you guys put.
Sorry, she's like walking around. She's all confused by it.
Yeah, she likes to come to meetings. Come here.
It's all right. What's her name?
Zita. Zita, like Zita Johann from The Mummy, the actor.
Of course it is. That's outstanding. Yeah, I'd love to see her.
Yeah.
Oh, good girl. Absolutely. Are you kidding me? That's fantastic.
The camera.
Yeah, she doesn't have a good sense of where the camera is.
That's all right. No, we love it. Are you kidding me? That's beautiful. Outstanding. So, can you tell us some comic stuff that you might be currently, or are you currently?
One small thing that we're doing is, we're doing a Batman story, like an 8-page Batman story, just for it's supposed to be one of those summer special type things. We've done a couple of those kind of stories, in the last couple of years. We did a demon story. We did a
fun,
what's the Aquaman guy villain?
Black Manta.
Story, and a Joker story. That came out maybe the end of last year. Yeah, like for the New Year's special one. Nobody, you know,
New Year's Evil.
Yeah, New Year's Evil. Yeah, I mean, it's like they're you know, collections of short stories. They don't get a lot of play, but it's super fun to do because you get to just kind of go in and work with a character that you've never had the opportunity, try to distill it down, find some way to tell a story that's not something that's happened a billion times before. Our Batman story is a little bit in space, which is, I guess, just what we do. But
I know that's a Denny O'Neil cardinal sin. Batman does not belong in space. It's like it was
kind of the assignment, but like,
that's
made it work. So I'm finishing up drawing that now. It'll come out in the summer.
Fun. That's cool.
There's a lot of like little things and stuff, but the big thing is something that we can't talk about for reasons that we've not entirely figured out. But but
all right.
Is there another thing?
Well, yeah. I guess we can't talk about it.
Okay, yeah. Sorry.
Well, there's a couple of small, like I wrote a short for the Insider Art Anthology that's coming out soon. That's going to benefit out of work female and non-binary comic shop employees and owners and assorted folks. So that's being there's a bunch of different editors on that, but and each one has a room. So in each room of the house, Insider Art, right? So I'm in the attic, and
who's editing your stuff?
Right now, it's Mariah McCourt is my editor, but there's Shelley Bond is one of the editors.
Yes, indeed. Shelley and I will be talking about this in a couple days.
Oh, terrific! So
absolutely, no, she reached out.
Good.
Okay. Absolutely.
She's always great about that. I worked with her on a different anthology, the Femme Magnifique, and she's such.
Oh wow, cool. That's
I love her. So,
Karina, do we ever talk about your Angel run?
Oh, I don't know. I feel like we did, but it was a long time ago.
No, and I understand that, but I really was excited about you writing Angel and everything. And that's, God, every now and then I'll still go to Hulu and pop in an Angel every now and then. So.
Yeah. No, that was really fun. That was really enjoyable.
Remind people, what was your arc again? And you were on more than one arc. You how long were you on the book?
A whole season. So like season a year. So
yeah, two story arcs, 3 story arcs?
That was it was like one
wasn't it like 12 issues?
It was 12 issues, but it was like 3
like mini arcs.
Yeah, connected.
So,
connected story. But I'm with you, man.
But it all came around to being one long story once you got the whole thing. So I don't really know how to call that. It was I don't know.
It was a season. What did you say, Gabe?
What was that?
We were both stepping on each other. Repeat what you said, Gabe.
I didn't say anything. Go ahead.
All right, fine. It was a season, like you say. It was 12 issues.
Yeah. So it was
that's cool.
Yeah. So that was Dark Horse was great to work with. I hope to be working with them again at some point, but
I understand.
Up in the air.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, it's so hard to talk about stuff because the reason we're doing all this is because everything's so in flux, and and we all know, it's comics are, what comics are going to be coming out of this. It's certainly a question mark.
That's the big question. No, I understand. And I'm sure we all are, especially in the states that you and I are in, not only the state of confusion, but of course of California and Illinois. A lot of states are getting ready to reopen, and Diamond is going to resume, distribution May 20th.
Yeah.
At least as it says right now. And and exactly. That's the thing, Karina. No, I agree with you. And I certainly, and we all encourage, people to talk to your local stores, see how they're going to handle it. And, curbside service and delivery are still possibilities, certainly in Chicago here. And I'm sure that that's the case in a lot of LA shops as well.
Yeah, definitely. And we've had, it's so spread out here, but there's a lot of different options that I've been hearing about people, even some comic shops I saw on Twitter today are doing little nightly runs where they'll hold up issues and go, okay, who wants this one? It's $1 or whatever for back issues to help them out.
Right.
Yeah, Christy at All Yeah Comics in Muncie, Indiana. I saw her doing that a week or so.
Yeah. It's kind of just more to keep up the community than to even. I mean, I'm sure they are really hurting and need the money, but I think it's really nice that they're connecting with the community because I know the community really misses them.
I understand. Actually, I might suggest to you guys, depending on your schedules. I was just talking to Joe Pruitt today at Aftershock, and he's really kind of gone out and told a lot of creators, hey, while your pencils might be down at your regular job, he's going to experiment with one shots this year. And now they're 40-page one shots, so it'd be like 2 issues or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, man. I mean, no, I think that might be cool, and maybe some of their concepts and stuff might,
Yeah.
I think honestly, and they are my sponsor, and people know that. I'm pretty upfront about that.
Wait, are you a sponsor? And you're like, sorry.
That's right.
But I actually love the idea of one shots. I did that Belfry horror one shot at Image a couple of years ago,
and even he wasn't
more stuff like that. Like
wasn't Heathen Town kind of a novella more so than a
yeah. I mean, it was like 80 pages, so it was a shorter graphic novel. But
I just need to step in for 1 second. I made a terrible oversight when I didn't mention the artist on the story on Insider Art, and I would feel terrible if I don't.
Of course, please.
So it's Tintin Pantoja, and I hope I'm saying her name right because I haven't actually spoken to her in person. We've just exchanged emails, so I just want to make sure that her name gets out there.
I'm glad you do that, Karina.
Yes. And I totally derailed everything.
And you mean, but artists deserve credit.
Artists deserve credit, definitely. And
100%. Well, there's no rails. Don't kid yourself. We're fine.
So,
tangents are welcome. It's all good. And that was important to get out there. Now, you might see on the screen Stephen Rockwood asking, and several people had asked me in anticipation of this, what the word is on possible more Invisible Republic.
We've been talking about this, and things are so crazy up in the air in every facet.
It's really hard. I mean, we want to do the rest of it. It's stuff that we've been working on, but the question of how it's all going to work at this point is so nebulous. I mean, we all want everything to come back and everything to be great, but how the direct market's going to work, it was already a sort of challenging situation before all this.
Yeah.
To put out an Image book, and we absolutely want to do it. It's something we're working on. It's something we're passionate about, but it's continually gotten pushed back by other things and circumstances. So, but I mean, I think that when it does come out, and our hope is to put out graphic novels, put out the essentially in trades rather than the single issues. But we'll see what the economics of it are.
I get it. No, I understand. Yeah. And again, more name dropping. Ed Brubaker and I talking today had a great marathon conversation, and we were discussing. And he and Marcos Martin with Panel Syndicate, which was released Friday.
Yeah, I know.
And obviously that was planned. Yeah, it was planned way before the shutdown.
Yeah.
And really, he's maybe that's the new norm, is to digital release first, and it's also great. Because he was telling us that, or telling me, and eventually the Word Balloon audience, when I put it out on Monday, that also for the trade, he and Marcos might go back, add more pages, change scenes around and stuff like that, and that it will be kind of the director's cut of Friday,
right.
And also he's talking to Sean about the same stuff with their futures stuff. So
I think it makes a lot of sense. It's something that's very appealing to me. I mean, the question of how valuable it is to put out stuff digitally first, I'm not sure. I mean, it just certainly it depends on how much attention you can generate for it, and how it's being put out and how accessible that is. I mean, it's great that they have that venue for that. But there's not one place to go for all this stuff, and I don't know. I would love to do that, though. I would love it to work out that way. If it could work out in a way where we would put out chapters of Invisible Republic digitally and then just collect them as trades. I mean, my desire would be to put out the first 3 trades of it as one big hardcover, to put out digital single issues of it, and collect the others into trades, and then finally have one gigantic hardcover omnibus type thing.
Absolutely,
because it is kind of a big novel. It's not, I mean, they are structured for the chapters, but it was also a little bit frustrating to have to be bound to the number of pages that you look. The dog sat on the couch now, so you don't have to worry about all that walking around.
All good. Oh, man. I again, Ed's dog was barking during our conversation. I didn't mind. That's okay. People are used to it. Gore Vidal, interesting comment about the film, and it's obviously a pseudonym. he's taking us from the grave.
Look, if it's if this is a Gore Vidal comment from before he died a decade ago, then that'd be great.
Ghost, maybe, I don't know.
Exactly. Logan went above and beyond the typical comic book film, absolutely, just like Shane did for the Western. Agreed. It's a mature Marvel-inspired film. Friends who find comics-inspired films, adolescent, enjoyed Logan. I agree, and it's funny because the two bookends of Game Changers were Logan as far as being very adult, and Deadpool for being hardcore fun and hardcore humor.
Right, and those are both Fox movies, not Marvel movies.
Yeah, and isn't that, man? I'll tell you,
Fox doesn't exist anymore, so that'll work out well.
Well, and I honestly, Gabe, as a guy that works with a lot of directors and studios and stuff. I mean, because isn't Searchlight still going to exist under the Disney?
Well, okay, so Fox does exist. It's the studio's still there. I've been over there, I've worked there. I'm friendly with people who work there. Friendly with one of the executives there. It's not like it doesn't exist. I was being flippant, but it's under Disney. It's unclear exactly what the what the role going forward would be, though.
Well, and we were talking about Ford versus Ferrari and also Ad Astra, and that's the thing. These last things that were made by Fox proper before the Disney, takeover. God, there's a lot of really good movies that they were making.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, though. I mean, and I think that they made some good decisions on stuff, and some of the movies they put out towards the end maybe were or weren't financially successful, but were also good movies. But like Ford versus Ferrari was the last movie of the old pre-Disney Fox, and that it did well, and it was and people liked it, and it was the kind of movie that it's both not the kind of thing that everybody makes right now, but it also really benefited from seeing it in a theater and having the big experience of seeing it, even though it was really a sort of character-driven drama as well, and so and a fun movie and just fun. I think that you may or may not see more of that sort of stuff. I mean, a lot of the same people are there, and a lot of the same people are pushing for making those kind of movies. But the reality was, and people were dismissive of it. But like the reality was, Fox was one of the few places that was making movies that were still kind of making middle range budget movies that were sort of for adults or something a little bit different than or not branded genre fare. And it's too bad, but it is what it is. But that said, everything we're talking about is of the past. That's some other world before all of this shit happened, because we don't know what's going to happen after this.
Well, and Universal made their announcement regarding how Troll Hunters, or whatever the hell it's called, because I don't really give a shit about that movie. But it's an interesting time. I want to let William Meyer ask his question, and also Gore Vidal agrees. By the way, William Meyer is the man who made the Word Balloon animated Open.
Oh yeah! Oh nice.
Yeah, honestly, and he made it 7 years ago. I think William might have still been a grad student when he made it, and I just wasn't doing video, and I'm like, oh my god, I got to do. So I'm really glad to be using it now.
Oh, that's great.
But he asked a great question. Yes, can you speak about your experience working with Werner Herzog?
Well, I can't. I don't know that I can speak about working with Werner because he it was a secretive little job, but it was also pretty much the coolest thing that ever happened to me was me. And I've met a lot of directors. I've worked with a lot of directors, and yet going over to Werner Herzog's house, talking to him about something that was, it was like a very small thing where I did some illustrations for something that he was producing that was sort of a small an instructional video that kind of a smaller version of his masterclass. But he needed some illustrations for it, and I had a mutual acquaintance, Zach Penn is a screenwriter who I've known for years, and he just sent out an email to a bunch of people who basically saying, "Hey, Werner Herzog needs a little bit of work done. I don't expect you to do it, but like if you can recommend some up and coming guy to go do it or whatever. But like the movie that I was supposed to start on had fallen apart that week, and I just wrote back to him, and I was like 2 seconds later, and I was like, I'll do it. Just whatever, I don't care. And it can be anything, And so and the thing is, you see Werner Herzog and his persona, and you think maybe this isn't the best idea. Maybe it's better that I just like appreciate him from afar. And that turned out to be absolutely not the case. I went over there. I went to meet with him at his house, and met his wife, and and we went up to his tiny little office, and and he and because the video was something that was kind of about filmmaking, is about his processes and ideas, and and I was illustrating a couple of specific points for that. Like, I'm sitting there with Werner Herzog talking to him about filmmaking. So like he's saying, that he he mentioned something about like the 180-degree rule, the axis. I don't know if everybody's familiar with this.
Explain it.
Basically, if the camera was on this side of me, it would always stay on this side of me, no matter where we cut. Hey, this video thing is convenient for this because I could describe it with my fingers. But the and I was like, well, wait a second. Werner Herzog is this maverick guy who doesn't follow any sort of rules and stuff. And so I stopped him. I was like, well, wait, do you agree that the 180-degree rule is important? And he was very sober about it. Very that it's really important that people understand the space and they understand the geography of things. And I'm like, shit, I'm having this conversation with Werner Herzog. And and he was the nicest guy I've ever dealt with. Like, he really was. He was and so interesting and like welcoming and so like I don't know if I should say this or not, but like he paid me in cash. So like,
wow. All right, Gabe, this is the IRS. We like to talk about.
So like when oh wait, this is live shit. When I was going over there to pick up the payment, which was totally not in cash, I just he called me up and was like, oh, I need to give you your payment. He's Werner Herzog. And I can't do an impression, but
I can do it for I'm going to wait for your story.
So Karina could hear him, right? So she knows it's real. And then, and he's like, oh, I can come over to your house. And I was like, you're not coming over to my house. Like, just no. I'll just come by and pick it up. But then I was like, well, Karina, you should come with. And because we're probably just going to walk up to his door, and he'll come out and give me the thing and I'll leave. But we go over there. He's just the most like welcoming guy in the world. Like he comes out and I'm like, oh, Karina came with because she's got, we're doing some errands and stuff. And he's like, no, come in. And so we go inside and his wife comes out. We sit down and he's like, oh no, or we start talking about stuff. And then I had given him some of the comics. And he went and he got the copy of Invisible Republic and started going through it and pointing out things that he liked about it. Right.
Wow.
And then and then his wife was like, oh, this is ridiculous. We're standing around. We should all sit. And and would you like a glass of wine?
And so accomplished.
Yeah. And she's like this
incredible. She's
hyper accomplished photographer.
She's
and
had
like
shows at MoMA.
And then we sit down and there's like a Werner's like, oh, get the good wine. And we're having wine and like, we're talking about shit. And then like, I'm talking too much, as probably anybody who's watching this can imagine. And and we're talking about Akira Kurosawa. And then we have like this conversation about Rashomon and like it was amazing, right?
Yeah, it was.
Like, it was amazing. It was like the greatest thing. Like, it was even better when we both went over there. We just sat around for like an hour and a half talking to him. Him talking about like, going to Japan and making this movie by himself and, not getting any permits and running away from police and stuff. And this was like last year. He's 77.
Wow.
It's it was the single most inspiring meeting that I've ever had.
All right, you kind of burst my bubble because I was really hoping it would be like, Gabe, there would be a plastic bag at our front gate.
I did
pick it up quietly and walk away.
Nothing like that. He was such a great guy.
That's wonderful. That's amazing. And God, man, he was, and forgive me because of all of his great accomplishments. Oh, he was great at Mandalorian.
Yeah, well, right. Yeah. Forgot what kind of show this is for a second.
I know. No. We're talking fun stuff. Seriously, man, I envy you guys for experiences like that. And also, I believe it was last year. And again, this only is going to be important to the three of us. And that's not true because, again, it's just like talking to Ed again this afternoon. We're talking about noir movies and stuff. He's like, nobody cares. I'm like, Ed, this is my show. Everybody knows we're going to be talking about old movies with my guests. It happens. And you guys get to go to Jack Webb's former house. And,
I did. Yeah, Karina didn't working that day.
That's right.
But I can't remember how I heard about that. But somebody said that there was an estate sale at the house that Jack Webb had lived in before. Somebody else lived there in the meantime. They were not having an estate sale 45 years after.
I was going to say he died like in 1980 or something like that.
82, I think. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And but there was stuff there from his house. And so, there were still Jack Webb things there, So, I did buy an 8mm, it's not even just regular 8mm film reel that was allegedly owned by Jack Webb. It may be some kind of boring travel thing. I have not. I actually bought an 8mm projector, which I have not set up yet. But
because we need the screen, right?
We need a screen, but we could project it on the wall at least. So we have a big white wall.
Yeah.
But I haven't. It's pretty not in the greatest shape. So we'll see.
Sure.
However, the guy who sold it to me said it could very likely be a porn stag reel.
I was going to say, or God forbid, hey, I'm going to shoot Julie London, his former wife, who was ridiculously beautiful and a great jazz chanteuse. And of course,
I see what you're saying. Okay, yeah, photograph her. Yeah.
Photograph. I'm sure it would be very tasteful. He was a tasteful television producer.
Yeah, well, if this were 1954, people would be super excited about that reel. I don't think anybody knows.
I know the thing about old film too, that it when it starts decomposing, it smells like vinegar. Is it okay?
Vinegar syndrome. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Is it? Do you keep that? Are you keeping it in the freezer or whatever to kind of preserve it?
I don't know where the hell it is.
All right.
I'm in my room.
All right.
Look, it was sitting in a closet in Jack Webb's old house for the last 60 years. I don't think that it was, it wasn't being taken care of in the first place. So we'll see how it goes.
Fair enough. Comics, Coffee, Metal asks, any chance you'll return to the world of Station to Station?
I think probably not, but not because we did actually have a whole story for that, like a story that followed up. This Station to Station was a one shot actually that we did that was serialized in Dark Horse Presents, and it was a kind of big interdimensional being type of thing.
As its own thing.
It came out as a single one shot. Yes. And we did have a follow up miniseries to it, but it for reasons it didn't happen. It was one of those. It's been a while. No, it just didn't. It didn't creatively. We couldn't work it out with the
creatively and yeah.
I'm hip.
I don't know what to say.
No, that's cool.
It could have been cool. Nothing against Dark Horse at all. It wasn't. The person we were dealing with then isn't even there anymore. It hasn't been for years.
Okay,
so it's not that.
I'm with you. Karina? Am I right? Because I know the three of us know a wonderful artist from Indianapolis, Kyle Latino, and didn't you guys do a story together?
We did, yeah. It was a long. Oh my gosh, that was a long time ago. It was a little short horror thing, and it was for the.
It was back when Mike Norton and them had that
double shot.
Yeah. Yes. Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
Him and Tim Seeley. Yeah.
And we did. Karina and I did a little espionage thriller thing for it too, called The Lie.
What was it called again?
Toyed with going back to it at times, but
what's it called again?
The Liar.
The Liar. Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, I would imagine, that's back for you to eventually throw in an anthology or something like that if you wanted to.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, we definitely could. Yeah, it's like if it fits someplace. And one of the things we have is we've been like working for a couple of years on short horror stories. Like we put out the last couple of years we've put out like little. Did we not do it last year? I can't even remember anymore because it was just everything was so miserable and we just didn't get around to it. But like I think it was the year before, right? Yeah. So we put out 2 different like mini collections, like a single issue with 2 to 3 stories in it, and they're short horror stories. And so that's something we really are looking to put out as a collection, maybe this year, hopefully. We've got some other ones that we've worked on in the meantime.
See if everything exists.
Yeah, we'll see how things work. How if it's functional, if it's possible to get something print on demand to, or, if we end up, putting them all together into more of a big trade or something. And I'm also working on a horror graphic novel that's just me, but that's probably a ways off. Although, depending on how much time I have during all this, I don't know.
God, depending on the length of those things, talk to Aftershock. They're doing something. That's I think that might fit what they're doing with the 40-page deals.
Yeah. No, we'll see. Like, and the idea of doing something like that is cool. It probably would be a new thing, but that we the ideas like that, like trying to entice people with something, a little different, something that has the opportunity to be different, doesn't have to be something that you commit to for a billion issues. Yeah. That is always appealing to me.
I'm with you. No, that's great. I was just wondering, Karina, too, like, is Kyle still cartooning? Do we know what he's doing? I mean, I don't.
He is. He does a digital comic that on the spot I'm having a hard time remembering the name of. She-Dwarf? But so look him up on Twitter. He's and he's doing. I know he's doing some digital comics still.
Okay, because
guy too.
It seemed like he had abandoned his Patreon, and that's why.
Oh, I don't know the specifics, so I don't know. But
I haven't talked to him in a long time, but I just have seen him occasionally post stuff.
Right. So. And we don't go to cons. We haven't been to cons for the last couple of years either. So
anymore, And no, I understand, and I realize that too. And we'll see. I know that was a choice that you guys made and stuff, and we'll see when that part of the business returns. Who knows? Who the hell knows?
Yeah, I mean that's pretty daunting considering the way things are.
Absolutely, my God. Yeah.
2022 is my bet.
What's that, buddy?
2022, I think.
Wow. Good Lord. Maybe. No, I understand. Jeez. I know. I had so many.
Certainly for those giant cons. It's hard to see how that could work.
Yeah.
And even the small cons I think would be tough. The CAFs and everything, the comic art festivals. Yeah. No, I hear you, man.
And it might be different, for different states, but just based on what I hear from our local institutions, I think it's going to be a long time.
I think you're right. No, absolutely. Are you guys aware, and have you already started watching? Ed was telling me about this Hollywood series that's on Netflix.
Oh, yeah. We haven't started watching it yet.
I haven't yet either. I'm really curious to see that. And my friend Jason actually gave me access to his Criterion account.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
We've been watching lots of Criterion. Like that app has been getting a workout.
Very useful.
Yeah.
That and Shudder, I think.
Yeah.
Shudder, that's great for horror, of course.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, totally. That's actually great.
Actually, Shudder was the one thing that I got out of last year when we went to San Diego for the Eisners. I was wandering around and they handed me, here's a free 1 month of Shudder.
I don't know, it was longer. It was quite a bit. But anyway.
Wow.
It was fun.
Usually I'm always like, no, when people hand you stuff, like everybody hands you stuff. And that one, for some reason, I took, and then I was like, oh, this is actually great.
Yeah, no, it turned out to be great. Yeah. But, on Criterion, they have a noir series right now that it's the Columbia noir stuff. Most of those movies I don't really like very much, but.
Tell me why. I'm interested.
A lot of them are very good. With there's stuff in there, like In a Lonely Place, one of my favorite movies ever made. Of course. Lady from Shanghai, crazy nonsense, but also like one of the most fun movies ever.
Oh, absolutely.
Nightfall. Jacques Tourneur's Nightfall with Aldo Ray is fucking amazing. I love that movie. So like there are those, and then there's, you know, Tight Spot with Ginger Rogers that Phil Carlson directed. It's just not good. You know, it's like one of the last movies you start in. It's a little creaky and uncomfortable. It does have Edward G. Robinson in it, so that's good. You know, but it's just not. They're kind of, you know, programmer movies that kind of lack atmosphere. That you know, the kind of The Dark Past or something like that. I can't remember. We watched recently. Basically, we went through them and watched the ones that we'd never seen before. You know, the one with William. It's with William Holden. It's before, like 48 or something. It's before he really, you know, became a star. And
Sure.
It's like a remake of an earlier movie. It's full of like mid-century bullshit, like psychiatric babble stuff that, like, you know, does not age well at all.
Okay.
And it's basically like, it's kind of like Desperate Hours, but like bad, you know, like I don't know. And so those movies, like that, you know, and there's a bunch more on there that are they're just not my favorite things in the world. The ones that are the best ones are just the super famous ones.
Well, you know, one that I'm curious about that Ed was talking about today, and I don't remember the title, but I'm sure I'll be able to figure it out. It's Douglas Sirk directed it, and Sam Fuller wrote it.
Oh, is that Shockproof, or is
Could
that
be? I don't. The title's
no, that's not right.
Right
There's like an early Douglas Sirk collection on there.
Yeah, and you know, just like, and I meant to say this to Ed, and I didn't. I don't think we've ever talked about this, and I'm curious what you guys think of. I love John Sturgis's really early stuff, and like Mystery Street.
Oh yeah,
the Montalban movie that he made.
Wait, is Mystery Street the one with the? Wait, am I confusing that? Who's in Mystery Street?
Ricardo Montalban.
That is the one I was thinking of. Yeah.
And it's all about forensic medicine, and it's one of the first kind of CSI,
right?
You know, making it. You know,
also another. The dog is snoring really loudly.
That's okay. We can't hear it. Don't worry about it, Karina. It's cool.
Sorry, I just.
That's all right. I figured you just got bored with me and
no.
All right, enough of this crap. What's on Shutter?
Really loudly. Like this is a you know, video conference problem we've had many times.
Yeah. So don't worry about it.
But
it's all good, guys.
Also, you know, another early forensics thing is the He Walked by Night, the Anthony Mann movie, or at least Anthony Mann came in and co-directed part of it, and that's where kind of where the origin of Dragnet as well, because Jack Webb was in it. He met the technical advisor on it, and they and ended up kind of creating Dragnet based on, you know, the inspiration of working on that movie.
Those black and white 50s Dragnet episodes really are mini movies, and are so fascinating.
Yeah, those are great.
And also the radio show. Good Lord. Yeah. You know, Dana Gould came on Word Balloon to promote when he adapted. We'll eventually get to Ape Talk, I'm sure. But when he adapted Rod Serling's original Planet of the Apes story for a graphic novel, and we were talking about, because I said, how is it scripting for a comic? And he said, you know, I actually learned a lot from old time radio, and in particular Dragnet. He goes, because they had to get in a full story in a half hour, and not a word of dialogue is wasted.
Yeah, that's true.
And they don't even have images.
Well, that's kind of actually my point, though. I think that there's a little bit of an issue with that, and and I'm not knocking him at all, but I think that there's a danger in looking at comics as a radio play. Like, I mean, it has to work. I mean, I was reading some. I don't know why. I took this notion, somebody on Twitter was talking about the X Factor, that comic from the 80s, right?
Sure.
And I was like, oh, I remember reading that as a child. Maybe I should read that now. And it's not a great idea, and that's it. All the people who worked on it, super talented, went on to do great things, particularly later. You know, and then later issues of it are like Louise and Walter Simonson, the best of the people, right?
Brilliant.
Those books from that era, they read like radio plays, right? Everyone is telling you exactly what's going on. They're telling you why they're reacting to things. They're recapping stuff that happened in the past in the dialogue. They're like the visual storytelling is superfluous. And so, like, if you're going to comment something at like it, I mean, I take the point, and I'm not, like having an argument with a guy who's not here, but like, but I do think that the idea of being able to contain story is great, but thinking of a comic as a radio play is a little bit dangerous to me.
Okay, fair enough. I want to get back to John Sturges, though, because another one, and it's sitting on my DVR, and it's another Montalban movie that he made. It's a boxing movie, Right Cross.
Oh, I've never seen that.
I've never seen it either, and it's, again, something I'm going to get to eventually. Do you guys remember a noir that Mickey Rooney made? And I want to say it's either called Chainsaw or Bull or Whip, something Whip.
Wait, this sounds familiar.
This does sound familiar, but this is not Drive a Crooked Mile or whatever.
No, it's one word, and I'm going to look it up while we're talking and do a Mickey Rooney IMDb.
Is it not Whirlpool?
It might be Whirlpool. We have, I don't know if you guys have this digital channel. It's called Movies with an exclamation point, and it's the MeTV people.
Yeah.
And it's a commercial channel, but they run a ton of great movies, and it really is a great movie channel, despite having commercials and stuff.
Yeah. I don't know that we get that, but at least I haven't looked, so I will.
Well, that's the thing with some of these digital channels. Not every city gets them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but yeah, I'm always, and it's great. They literally show, and I'm sure you guys have seen this, The Dark Corner with Lucille Ball.
Oh yeah.
Like every month, at least every month.
That's a Cirque movie, right? That's an early Douglas Sirk movie.
I bet it is. Actually, I'm not certain of that. That's fantastic. Was it? Am I stupid? Was it actually The Big Wheel? Am I wrong? Or maybe Quicksand?
Maybe it's Quicksand. I've seen Quicksand.
Wait,
Quicksand is the one where he's like kind of like a weird little MRA guy, or maybe that's Drive a Crooked Mile. I can't remember. Where he's kind of like he's like a creepy little guy who. No, that's Drive a Crooked Mile because he's a driver in there. Yeah. I'm confused. I'm pretty sure I've seen that other picture though.
I'm going to give you a description of Quicksand once it opens up. Okay. Yes, I believe this is the one. After taking $20 from his employer to go on a date with plans to repay it the next day, an auto mechanic falls into increasingly disastrous circumstances, for more and more money, which rapidly spirals out of control. It's Mickey Rooney and Cagney's sister, Jean Cagney.
I have seen that. Yes. Yeah, that is really familiar. Yeah. I don't remember it well, but I do. But that's definitely.
It's an Amazon Prime, everybody. Which back in our scene missing days, when Gabe and I and Hillary Barta would talk about old movies, we'd always point people to things like that, and of course, poor Hillary would have a conniption. See it on a big screen, and it's like
there are no big screens anymore.
Yeah,
Hillary.
Yeah. Do you guys go to Eddie Muller's fests when they come to town?
We would have. I mean, this year it lasted for like 3 nights and was over because
then lockdown.
Because the lockdown happened right in the middle of it. We've been going for 20 whatever years since.
A friend of mine was devastated. Christina was. Just
It's absolutely but I think we just ended up not seeing anything in the earlier part of it this year just because it was stuff we'd seen recently or whatever. I mean, the way that I feel like I complain about this exact same thing all the time, but but there is a thing with those noir festivals where they feel like they have to program things that are less and less classic noir because you need to show different movies. But at a certain point, if you haven't shown Joseph Losey's The Prowler in 20 years, maybe people could see it again,
I'm dying. That's true. And it's funny, my cable system suddenly made Turner Classic Movies part of a sports package. And to get it, and it's so ridiculous. For like 5 months, I'm like, I'm not spending an extra $10. I spend enough on cable.
Right.
And then when the Turner Festival had to go online this year, that was really interesting, and I really was jonesing to see great old movies again. So I bit the bullet, and I, again, $10. I think.
Right. You never do that. But I'm bummed that we couldn't go to it for real. I mean, it's always a fun thing to go do that, and see if you can get in.
Well,
I'm interested on really some of the live Q&As that you guys got to see at some of these Turner things where you got to see.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that. I mean, I don't know if one has happened since the last time we talked to you, though. So, I mean, like
When was?
I mean, because the last time, I'm pretty sure I remember talking about John Carpenter introducing Scarface on here the last time we were on here.
Yeah, right.
But you know, like I don't know that there was. I can't. Maybe there
classics.
Then I'm not sure. But
Okay.
But it is a great thing. You know, it's just sucks that it would have been, you know, like a week or two ago, and you know, you can't do anything. I mean, the last movie we saw in a theater was First Cow. Kelly Reichardt's movie, which like got,
I love her. She's
you know,
amazing.
and the movie's a masterpiece. It genuinely is a masterpiece. It's like it's sort of it's like a Western of sorts, but like you know, but very low key, very indie movie. She made Wendy and Lucy and Meek's Cut Off, and you know, and a bunch of, you know,
different night moves, right?
Yeah, or yes, night moves, but not the one with Hackman in it.
What a great movie!
Which is also an amazing movie, and I probably talk about every single time. But the that actually was a great movie to go out on if it was the last movie we ever get to see in the theater, because I thought it was brilliant. It opened really, you know, in New York and LA. It was going to open wide after that, and then they pulled it for obvious reasons. Yeah, supposedly, it's coming out at the end of the year, but they're not. As far as I know, they're still not putting it on VOD. They're going to try to have a theatrical run.
We started to talk about the thing with Universal and Trolls and everything, and yeah, they're kind of weird statement, and obviously also the theater reaction that, you know, right now there's a little bit of a fight between Universal and theater chain owners. Yeah, I mean, I get both sides, and it's going to be a very different world, and I don't know what's going to happen to theaters. And I have to be honest, again, you guys are in a great town where hopefully audiences are still a little more polite at the theaters you go to. There are fewer.
We only go to the fancy theater, so
but that's good.
We only go to ArcLight, and then
I hear you, man. I do the ArcLight in Chicago.
Revival movies where everybody's there to, you know, I'm like, it used to be you go to revival movies and there would always be like several elderly people with plastic bags who were taking things out throughout the course of the movie. But I think they've all died since then. So they're all, so the revival theaters are they're a lot quieter now. But like I think or, you know, when we first moved to LA in the like mid to late 90s, and Lawrence Tierney used to go to the New Beverly and you know, and like you know, scream random shit at the screen and stuff.
Did he really?
Oh yeah, we went to see Blue Velvet there one time, and he just sat there over, you know, like anybody who went to New Beverly back then, you know, ran into this. Like he would go to all these movies and just, it didn't smell great. He would yell stuff at the screen. It was sort of terrible. Now, but you know,
you don't have to worry about that anymore.
Yeah, but he's great in Born to Kill though.
Yes, absolutely. For people who don't know, because I love the fact that people do learn about movies through these conversations that we have. And Lawrence Tierney, of course, Joe from Reservoir Dogs, the old crime boss that puts the scheme together, and Elaine's dad on an early Seinfeld episode.
Oh, okay.
Very funny in that. Did a great, a couple good Star Treks, actually. He did a Next Generation, where it was a Dixon Hill. Patrick Stewart is a detective.
Oh, you're right.
And he was like the Casper Gutman in it.
Yeah,
I believe his name was Cyrus Vance or something like that. No, that might be a real person. And then he was on Deep Space Nine when Quark was a weapons dealer.
Oh, all right. I remember that.
Yeah.
We're kind of rewatching Deep Space Nine right now.
I love Deep Space.
Just got through the first season of it. I'm looking forward to the Lawrence Tierney episode.
Well, there you go. It's a couple seasons away. And man, all right, Deep Space Nine, another show that, like, you know, kind of hit and miss first season. Although I do think watching him again, I am enjoying the first season more than I did the first time I saw it.
Yeah, I always liked the show. I liked it from the beginning. I was never one of the, you know,
haters,
Next Generation people who thought everything had to be, conflict-free, clean, and whatever it is. But like I I don't think we hadn't really gone back and watched the first season of it, for a long time, thinking, oh, it's really, it's hit and miss. It's not that, it's not that great. Cut to the third season where things pick up. But, there's actually a lot of good stuff in that first season. There really is. And more good. I mean, my memory of it was like, the pointless Q episode or the, things where they tried to shove next generation-y stuff in there that didn't really fit. And there's some of that, but there's actually a lot more good stuff than I remember.
Yeah.
I agree with you. And also they were world building, and you do appreciate those building blocks when you, again, come back to it, afterwards and stuff. No, I think you're absolutely right. But also, and now we're stepping into a little Star Trek territory, and I am curious. 2 seasons of Discovery, 1 season of Picard. I've been kind of vocal and my...
Kind of? I may have muted you on Twitter because of this, but
I totally understand, Gabe, and I would never blame you for doing that. The best was right before C2E2, day before the con, I'm having lunch with a buddy, and this Irish gentleman walks up. We're not even near the con. We're in Chicago, we're right by Wrigley Field, and this Irish guy's like, "Pardon me, are you John Suntress from Word Balloon?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "I recognize your voice." He's like, "Do me a favor, will you? Not really sure how you feel about the new Star Trek. Can you talk a little bit more about it, please?" I'm pounding the floor laughing. I'm like, "That is fantastic. You have every right to jam me on that." And he was great. So no, I get it and stuff. What'd you got? All right. So my feelings are well known. So what do you think of Discovery, and what'd you think of Picard?
Well, I mean, I'm mixed on Discovery. I think that there actually is a lot of stuff I like in it, and I like what they were trying to do with it. But I mostly don't think it worked. But which is not to say that it can't, I mean, I could still be convinced by the third season of it too.
Sure.
I liked Picard a lot. I didn't think it was perfect. I thought that the, certainly it's a little shaggy and everything didn't pay off perfectly, but I liked where it went, and I liked what, that it was bold, and that they, that they did some stuff, and I cared, I mean, I don't think that, and really the last thing I wanted was some, next generation redux thing, I mean, I think that they rolled the dice and they tried to do something different. And I like that. I didn't think it was perfect, but I don't think a lot of things are perfect.
No. And again, I know there will be a second season. I will be watching and not hate watching. And I feel the same way about Discovery. Every week of Discovery, I'm like, maybe I'll like this one better. And I really did like Anson Mount as Captain Pike. I thought he was terrific.
Yeah. Well,
Well, I mean, also,
Go ahead.
we saw the first 3 episodes of Picard in the Cinerama Dome.
Yeah, so we went to the premiere. So
since we've both written some Star Trek comics, we got an invite. To
somehow,
but it was actually really awesome because Patrick Stewart was there, and
wow,
he just got up and and after and he's speaking and he's just emoting, and he's
Patrick Stewart,
this experienced actor come out, and he's just emoting about his his co-creators and his the people he's working with and his dog and whatever.
And also we saw the first 3 of them together as a sort of movie, and and I think that our experience of it is different than the experience of watching them one by one, and I mean anything where you go to to a big event like that is going to have a different feel, but I really I liked it though, and I connected with it, and I did really enjoy it, and I really wouldn't say so if I didn't think that.
And also, it's pretty thrilling to see Patrick Stewart.
Yeah, it's neat to see Patrick.
It's amazing.
So basically, Patrick Stewart, Werner Herzog, only worthwhile people.
I remember now that you mentioned, I do remember when you guys got to see it. And truly, when I saw the first 3 episodes, I was thinking this would play better as if all 3 episodes ran together as a movie. It
really made a nice little cinematic, almost. I mean, I guess we've seen it in the Cinerama Dome, but it had a nice arc to it, and it made me really want to keep following it. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't I feel like I'm, to some degree open-minded about this stuff. I do like Star Trek, and I will give it a shot. And and there was just a lot. I think a lot to like in it, and I don't know. I don't really want. I don't want to just personally, particularly in the way that the world is right now, and the way and how trying it is to just deal with anything. Kind of like my feeling is like the last thing I want to do is just
rag about it.
Have a bad relation. Yeah, exactly. Just I mean, I don't want to be that. You know,
I don't want to be that guy either, buddy.
Fan, but I don't because I also work in stuff. I don't relate to things exactly the way people who are just fans are, and I just don't. I don't want to do that stuff. I don't want to just have, shitty feelings about stuff.
I totally understand, and I feel that way. Steve and I agree. It would be great to see John Delancey come back and be Q. I think we're all asking what happened to Beverly, and I hope she shows up next season. I hope more cast members do. I know Whoopi Goldberg obviously got invited on.
Oh yeah.
I hope so, but I like I like not telling people things just as much as I do like telling people things. And creatively, that's something that is important to me. I mean, I think that it's about you're as the audience member, you're contributing just as much by asking those questions. And I don't think all the questions need to be answered.
I respect that. No, that's cool. And again, I remain optimistic.
Newspaper. That's reading the newspaper is answering all the questions.
That's
drama
true.
is not about answering all the questions.
Wait.
It's a bad example. Okay, there aren't newspapers, so this is just a totally anachronistic bullshit thing.
You are killing me.
But like, it's still like if it's not about like reading the Wikipedia page about something. It's not about imparting information. It's about drama, and it's about
sure.
And I feel like as an audience member, I want to meet it halfway, not I don't need, if I never know what happens to Beverly Crusher, it's fine. That's a creative choice.
I understand. No, I'm with you on that. Tell me about the stories you wrote, the Star Trek stories. I'm assuming for IDW.
Yeah. I mean, we both just
you did two. They were like short stories.
But tell me.
Did one that was Nurse Chapel, which I thought was.
Yeah, that was the one we did. There was one where we each did a short story. Mm-hmm. Karina wrote one, and then I wrote and drew another one. Yours was a Nurse Chapel story, and then you also did a Beverly Crusher story, right? Well, there you go. Yeah. And for a later issue of it, and
that's great.
And I just did the one.
I relate to the lady scientists.
Yeah,
I respect exactly. I know. I wanted. We'll talk about that in a second.
She just wanted to do a Dr. McCoy story. She pitched Dr. McCoy stories over and over and over again. She loves Dr. McCoy, and they wouldn't let her do it.
I have so many Dr. McCoy stories, but
the one I did was a short Star Trek Phase 2 story. So it was set at the, somehow not many people have done these. I think there's some kind of rights-ish thing or something, but maybe it's because no one cares or understands what it means.
I think the hardcore Trek fans would be very happy to read a Phase 2 story.
So it's like set in what would have been that second Star Trek series in the late 70s before they made the movie. And and so Spock was not in the story. Zahn was in the story. Yep. And I was able to kind of use that as a sort of crux for telling it. I 100% would have done an entire series set in Phase 2. I almost did do like a graphic novel set in that. And we have had these, we've almost done a Star Trek book for like years. Like it's almost happened, come up to happening, not happened. 3 or 4 times. There's just all this stuff going on. They need to, they need to
get it approved,
tie into Picard or do this or do that. So there's always, and then there's our schedule and there's my schedule and there's, as far as drawing and stuff like that. It's always fraught. It's not their fault, but we would have loved to do a Star Trek book back when comic books existed.
Was that for Waypoint? Was that the anthology?
Yeah.
No, I think that truly that's like been one of my favorite IDW Trek products. I loved when they adapted Ellison's original City on the Edge of Forever story.
J.K. Woodward drew that.
Mm-hmm. J.K. I mean, and J.K. loves Discovery and Picard And honestly, if you guys weren't aware, I had a 4-against-2, and really I'd say 5-against-1 discussion with fans of both Discovery and Picard. And I'm like, hey, I want different opinions. Help me out. And the things that I had problems with, I'm like, what do you guys think? Most people are like, man, it didn't bother me, whatever. And I'm like, that's awesome. That's fine. But I just wanted to, I was looking forward to having that discussion. But regarding, now you saw Mike saying, obviously he'd love to see Phase 2 comics. Do you guys remember when they did the Captain Pike Marvel series?
I do, yeah. Well, that was when Marvel got the license back, like in the 90s.
Yep.
Had some, I don't know who drew it. I don't want to offend anybody, but it was some, unfortunately, not the art maybe wasn't really fitting the tone of that thing. But yeah, I mean, I still think that there could be cool stuff, in that. I still do like the Phase 2 thing. It's like I always like these things where like the challenge, obviously there's the Kirk, Spock, McCoy troika thing, and like I like the idea that like the point of doing it would be to try to make it work with Zahn in a way that that was surprising and interesting, and like that. If I don't think there's any point in just doing things over and over again that people have already done. I think you should try new stuff like they did so brilliantly with Picard.
What did that just remind me of? Well, first of all, there's so much other stuff that wasn't made into a film, like that original movie, that Planet of the Titans Roddenberry idea.
Oh yeah, right.
I mean, there's so much.
I don't think I wouldn't want to do one of those. I would like to read one of those, but like I wouldn't want to spend I wouldn't want to like spend my time just recreating something, but like I want to tell new stories. But like I would totally read that. I would totally buy that. I'd love it.
No, and that's the thing. I just think there was a bunch of interesting unrealized stories. And also, I was going to ask you guys, especially Karina, given that you wanted to do a McCoy story, and I'm sure you have a ton of them. Did you read John Byrne's Leonard McCoy Frontier Doctor miniseries?
Yes.
Wasn't that great?
Yes. I was thrilled that that existed, actually. I think
that was a fun book.
That was a really fun book. And I feel like there should just be a whole world of these. And they should let me write one.
The Dr. McCoy shared universe.
Yeah.
It's just all about Dr. McCoy.
Yeah.
Did you ever read that Diane Duane, I think, wrote a great Star Trek novel called Doctor's Orders?
No.
I have not read that. But
the premise of it was McCoy was making fun of, you're not only captain of the ship, you're lord of this whole place and whatever. And Chris, like, you don't realize how tough it is to sit in that chair. Tell you what, I'm leaving you in command while I go off world.
I've heard about this, yeah.
And suddenly something happens and Captain Kirk disappears. They can't find him. And technically, under Starfleet rules, he's in command. Spock can't relieve him. And it's the funniest. It's a great story. And again, as we're looking for things to distract us during the lockdown, can't recommend it enough.
Well, that sounds neat.
I'm going to find this, definitely.
It's really, really funny. And it really, she captured their voices appropriately the way that a lot of, the great paperback Star Trek writers have. Would you ever want to do a Trek novel, Karina?
Well, hell yeah. Absolutely.
Girl.
You'd be great.
I would love to.
Karina is a great prose writer. People have not seen enough of her prose stuff, and the thing that she is great at and is enormously talented at is writing both prose fiction and and certainly the nonfiction stuff, which people saw a little bit of in the backup stuff for Invisible Republic. Indeed.
And Karina, tell me about and again during the lockdown, obviously it's interfered. But weren't you going on archaeological digs the last couple of years?
Paleontological, actually.
Pardon me, paleontological.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Dinosaurs.
Yeah, my day job is I'm a fossil preparator at the Natural History Museum here in LA. So right now we're closed because obvious reasons, but kind of doing some work from home. But yeah, it's the last 3 years I went to Utah to work in the quarry and dig up the super enormous, much bigger than me dinosaur bones. And I was looking forward to it this year, but no dice, I don't think. I mean,
oh man,
yeah, it seems unlikely.
I have to make you tell, because I always love hearing these stories. Prior to doing this, you were curating a very famous private zoo, and especially in the wake of Tiger King. Although maybe nothing that fierce.
I have to say it was a very, we were very well run, and I was just a keeper. But yes, it was at the Playboy Mansion.
It was at the Playboy Mansion. It wasn't like fucking Tiger King.
No unauthorized tiger breeding. But
nobody got murdered. Oh well, no, that one guy died, but no one got murdered.
Murdered. I found his body, but
she did find a dead body. That this isn't something we're supposed to talk. I don't know if I'm not. Hefner's dead now. But
I was going to say the Hefner stayed on line 3. All right. Go ahead, caller.
It had nothing to do with this anyway. It was a guy trying to break in who unfortunately passed away right outside of the zoo by falling out of a tree.
Wow.
She found his body, like a dead body, for real. And tell the story if you can. Can you, or do you feel like it's it's too NDA-ish still, even though none of this exists anymore and you have to?
He was. I guess that he was obsessive, and he was trying to climb a tree there was a golf course abutting the mansion, or there still is. And we used to have to go over on the golf course and collect the peacocks and bring them back because the rich golfers would get really upset because peacocks were there. But so I would look over there from where I was making the food for the animals to see if there were peacocks. And there's like a little hole in the fence. And I look over there and I'm like, somebody threw a dummy there. That's weird. And I'm like, no, it's not a dummy.
Wow.
So I had to get security and we had to go over there.
And you went over there with security and he poked it with a stick or something, right?
Yeah.
We
were just like,
yep, it's dead.
Yeah, and then but then we still had to make the food for the animals and stuff. And on the other side of the fence, there because they have to call out the coroner and is it foul play? And it was just that the guy fell from the tree and I guess a rib poked his spleen and he.
Yeah, he's a awful guy and trying to get into the Playboy Mansion.
Apparently after they opened his backpack that he had, all he had in there was a book called How to Influence,
like how to win friends and influence people or whatever. Like
that was all that was.
Like that was how he was equipped to somehow. Like he was going to get into the Playboy Mansion, and once he got in there, he had to impress people.
Yeah,
like he had to, he had to be able to
score with a Playboy,
eloquent and at a party.
Here's my half.
It's a sad, tragic story.
It's
a troubled guy. It's sad and it's tragic, but she also found a dead body at the Playboy Mansion, so it's kind of a story.
Indeed, it's absolutely it's a great story. All right, another Trek question, and of course I expected this. Stephen Rockwood, how does everybody feel about the Star Trek animated series? Only recently watched them.
Yeah,
I do too.
We totally just watched it all again at the beginning of all this shit because it's kind of like there are definitely the same purple dragon is in like 3/4 of the thing, but it's and every once in a while they're like, oh no, they're robot purple dragons this time. But I don't know. There are a couple of really great episodes. They're all little goofball and and everything, but they take it seriously. I really like it. I like the McCoy one where he's like accused of genocide. It's like there's like genocide in this Saturday morning cartoon is pretty crazy.
Lou Scheimer, the co-founder of Filmation that made the cartoon. I saw him in San Diego, and Andy Mangels, who also has written a couple good Star Trek novels over the years, he interviewed him, and Scheimer's like, "Hey, as far as I was concerned, we knew we were an animated series, but we were making season 4 of Star Trek."
Yeah. And I think they do. They do really try to do that.
Solid sci-fi.
Yep, and they got great sci-fi writers to write the scripts.
The strangeness of the Larry Niven characters crossing over into the Star Trek universe is very
that
peculiar.
One is so odd. It's like it's written by a robot, but like
characters from a different
sci-fi
universe in
the Kazinti.
Was that the Kazinti or was
I think that's right. But his stuff weird. The tone mixing so weirdly with Star Trek stuff. Yeah. It's interesting though. Yeah. Look, they tried something different, and I think that's important.
Totally agree. Yesteryear, that great flashback episode of
we didn't watch that one again because it makes me too sad. For real, like I was already I'm sad about the state of the world and everything. I could not watch the one where the pet died.
I understand. Yeah, Spock's giant pet. I cheer. Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
And Gore Vidal, speaking of crossovers, I wonder how fans would react to a Star Wars Star Trek crossover. I live in Texas. I assume the reaction would be similar to the Aggies merging with the Longhorns. Stranger things have happened. Yeah, I don't see. I mean, it really is kind of fantasy mixing with.
Yeah, I don't think there's any. Yeah, to me, there's nothing there. I don't think that.
Although,
like the only way that I would say that I'm generally against crossovers like this at all. Like I don't really want.
I wrote a Vampirella Aliens crossover, and I think it worked out quite well.
Well, I do too. But to my point. What those, she's a space vampire.
Yeah.
There are just natural things that could work together with that. I mean, there is a story that presents itself there.
Yeah, that's true.
And, and I don't think there is a story that presents itself with Star Trek and Star Wars. They're just, they have like almost nothing to do with each other. There's no physics in Star Wars, and then Star Trek, at least to some extent, makes it out to be, kind of, a little more hard sci-fi-ish, and just thematically, the kind of stuff they do, none of it goes together. None of it works.
Although there might be something interesting in the clash of religion, no religion.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Well, that's kind of interesting.
All right.
Yeah.
Maybe a Deep Space Nine Star Wars crossover.
Yeah.
Right. With Bajoran.
Yeah. Right.
I can appreciate that. No, I think that's an interesting idea. And the IDW crossovers. It made no sense, but I really appreciated the ambition of Star Trek crossing over with Planet of the Apes. And JK had some
funny, it's fine. I mean, I think that I don't know. I mean, like sometimes it can work, sometimes I don't know, but like even those, that feels like,
it's a stunt.
It does, but it doesn't. I mean, it doesn't feel like there's absolutely nothing that could work about Star Trek Planet of the Apes. Those that they're in a spaceship. They could go to a planet. It's like those things make sense. They work together.
No, and you can see absolutely that if it was presented, if there was no Planet of the Apes franchise, and they found themselves on a world run by apes. I mean, you can see that
totally could work. Yeah, and they did it, and it's fine. It's cool, But I'm saying that just conceptually, there's something to do there.
I'm with you. No. All right, here, Elias Gonzalez. Hey, Karina and Gabe, huge fans. I was wondering about your work process working together in comics. Do you guys work old-fashioned, plot-driven Marvel method or full script?
It really depends on the project and also what the editor and everybody else involved needs.
Yeah, like if it's a freelance job, that's a different set of things than if we're doing like Invisible Republic. For the Green Lantern book or something, we were working with an editor at a company, and they want to see a full script, and we're fine with delivering that, and it generally doesn't impede anything. We work a little more loosely with something like Invisible Republic, where we will we'll work it all out, and basically I'm drawing it from notes. And we don't always have all the dialogue in there and it's a little bit more organic, and there are positives and negatives about that, but there are positives and negatives about all of it. I mean, it's not always the best when you have to lock yourself into something that maybe there's a little bit more nuance or interesting path to follow that you just kind of can't do because the machine is so big that it's more trouble than it's worth to try to turn it around midstream. For us, we can be very nimble doing something like Invisible Republic and change things if we need to, and insert scenes and pages and stuff, as needed. Which I really like doing that. I would really like to get back to doing that. But just on my own, I did the Aliens Dust to Dust book at Dark Horse, and I wrote
Pure Aliens. Pure aliens.
Only aliens, not crossing over with anything. But it was that was a situation where I'm writing and drawing it myself, but Randy Stradley, the editor, is like, well, the licensor needs a full script, and I'm like, that's fine, it's great, I'll write a full script. And I don't think and I wrote like a full script and turned it in, and he was like, oh, hey, this is great. Anybody could draw this, like like in a positive way. Like you can, it's not like I'm just making vague notes because I'm the artist or whatever. Like I'm a freelance writer. I write the thing that, that's asked. So it is a big difference between the freelance and the creator-owned stuff.
Definitely.
I hear you. No, and again, yeah, you know what you're doing. No, that's great. And yeah, I'm glad you did mention the Aliens series. I think that's fantastic. There was another Trek comment. What did we get here? Oh, Mike Conrad says, of course, the Green Lantern Star Trek crossovers were fun. Okay.
Yeah, and then also it suggests something that that could work. It's not it's not the worlds of those things are not so far apart that you could never I think there was a Green Lantern Apes one as well.
Yes, it was.
Because I think I did a cover for one of them.
Oh, that's fantastic. And again, staying on the Apes, your guys run on Boom with the general that you guys created. And as I always refer to the series, Young Dr. Zayas.
Yeah.
It's years before the movies. And it's great to see him as a younger ape, just joining the Ape Council and everything. And the ape politics and all that happened in the world and everything. No, that was really, I really love those story arcs. I think they're fantastic.
Yeah, we love doing them. I mean, they put out they finally were able to put out an omnibus of all of that stuff last year or so, which was great just to have it all together, I don't know if there's that much more to say about it, but it certainly was something that we loved doing and really fit with our sensibilities. And we were, we love Planet of the Apes, but it wasn't just it wasn't about being fans. It was about seeing stories that we could tell,
100%. And also, again, the reason why I bring it up, much like the Green Lantern stuff, is as people are looking for things to entertain themselves. And maybe there are ape fans that weren't aware that you did it because it was a couple of years ago.
Oh yeah, it was quite a while ago now.
And it is available digitally.
Yeah, it's available digitally, and I'll bet that they're people should check with retailers as well to see if they can order that omnibus because it's relatively reasonable.
Absolutely, no, it's great. And I got to say, and I don't know the last time if we talked about the newer ape movies beyond the first one, which I really loved, and to me played like a good Outer Limits.
Yeah. No, I really like the first one. I just have less to. Okay, I just didn't see the other two. I didn't like that.
Neither did I.
I worked on this. I mean, I may have talked about this before, but I worked on the second one for a couple of months at the beginning of it, and it was with the previous director, and then changed to the current director, and I worked with him for a while, and then something else came up, and I moved on. And sometimes it just feels daunting to me to go back and watch a movie after going through a bunch of stuff on it, So I want to watch these movies. I want to get around to it. I just never have.
Okay. I mean, for me, it always has been, as much as I appreciate the realism of the new movies, and I truly do, as a basic idea, but to me, it really was the mythology building of the original series, and it really was the art design and the costumes and just the idea.
All that stuff's great, but we also have to all acknowledge that things we saw when we were kids have a big impact on us, and that's and that drives a lot of our tastes. And,
I'm with you.
Absolutely. And I think that and I'm not in any way knocking those new movies. I think that it's good to do that stuff. John, I don't know if I've made this clear, but I think it's good to try something different. Now, all right, fine. Sorry.
You're the best. Are you kidding? Seriously, Gabe, we are cut from the same cloth. We are opinionated people, and I love that about us. And man, that's great. It's all good. And you'll forgive me, but I'm going to go back to well, first, I am curious because as we talk about directors that you've worked with in the past and stuff, and honestly, if it was a bad experience, we can just move on. But like Jay Roach, I mean, didn't you do one of the Austin Powers?
Oh no, yeah, I did all the Austin Powers movies.
I didn't know you did. Wow, you did all. All right, tell me about. I find, and including his film Bombshell from last year. I
haven't gotten to see Bombshell yet, but Jay was basically the first director I worked with. I mean,
I didn't know that.
The first Austin Powers movie was the first movie I worked on. So I'd done a little tiny bits filling in for people and stuff like that on other features, maybe just Breakdown, that Kurt Russell movie Breakdown. Do you remember that? like I worked for a couple weeks on that, but the first whole feature that I did was the first Austin Powers movie, and it was a tiny movie. It was a $16 million movie at the time.
Wow.
Mike Myers was on kind of a he was on a lower ebb of his career. So I Married an Axe Murderer wasn't successful. Wayne's World 2 was not as successful as they'd hoped. So like they had a hard time getting this movie made. It was an odd concept that was hard to sell people on. But I was there from the very beginning of it, and I said this on Twitter the other day, but Karina and I were watching a bunch of 70s movies that were on Criterion Channel, and one of them was Shampoo, the Hal Ashby movie, with Warren Beatty. And I remember when there was nothing conceptual about what Austin Powers would look like at this point. And so, but I'm drawing him. So, and Mike was there all the time. Mike Myers was there all the time. So so he was, telling me what Austin should look like. And he was like, his hair is Warren Beatty in Shampoo, but yeah, no, I mean that. And so, no, I learned lots from Jay Roach, and he was one of those sort of formative directors that I worked with. And I worked with him on a little movie called Mystery Alaska he did after that.
Love that movie. Great hockey movie.
On the other two Austin Powers movies, and on one of the Meet the Parents movies. That was the end. I don't really remember that one. But but yeah, Jay was kind of like the director I grew up with in a lot of ways. And comedy is kind of what I did at the very beginning. Like for a long time, I pretty much just did comedies, because that's what you get something and at least do the next thing.
Sure. What were some of the other comedies that you worked with?
I can't say as I remember, John.
All right, fair enough. We'll move on.
No, terrible ones. Mr. Magoo, or
who was Mr. Magoo in that live action movie?
It was Leslie Nielsen.
Leslie Nielsen. Oh my!
I never saw Mr. Magoo, but I did but the guy who directed it was this guy Stanley Tong. He was a Hong Kong action director, and he, like, one time I with him and I believe his assistant, he took us out to Monterey Park near here, where there's a large Chinese community and some Chinese restaurants and stuff. So very authentic Chinese restaurant. And he drove. I was out there on the freeway, and I've never been more scared in my life than this guy driving. He came out of stunts, and he was essentially he was a stunt guy. Several of the Jackie Chan stunts that are credited to Jackie Chan, other people actually did. Did some of those. And that was absolutely terrifying. It was also absolutely terrifying that he would do these kind of high kicks in the air, right in front of your face, because he can, he has the precision kicking of a martial artist, but it's not appreciated. Right, I don't want a guy kicking 1 centimeter in front of my face.
I can appreciate that.
So that's all. That's what I remember about Mr. Magoo. I never saw that lousy movie.
That's fantastic. Hey, what did you guys think of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
Maybe you don't ask us about that. I don't know.
Fair enough.
Neither of us liked it very much.
That's cool.
I disliked that it took a story that was basically about a tragedy that happened to one woman in particular, but other people too, and it tried to center it around a very toxic, masculine dude, and I felt like it erased the women in the story.
Interesting.
I just don't like the idea of the of this alternate universe type stuff that. I don't know. It rubbed me the wrong way. I don't think, but I don't know. There's obviously a lot of good stuff in it. There's a lot of good, all of the production stuff in it is amazing, and all the stuff that recreated is amazing. But I'm not so sure that that I'm really on board with what it was trying to say.
I understand, and yeah, I can appreciate that, and no, and certainly, Karina, I agree with what you're saying in particular about that. Now, Ford versus Ferrari kind of got a knock that women kind of had a secondary role in the film, and I
felt different about that though, because that actually was a story about the drivers. So that's a story about those dudes, and I mean, the taking random people and making a fantasy about, well, maybe if a doodly dude had come in and been a real dude and he had a flamethrower, things would be different. But
I agree with that.
I mean, to be completely fair, I didn't actually see much of the end because I was like this, because I thought something was going to happen to the dog. And I'm very sensitive to dogs getting hurt in films. And of course, it turned out that I should probably rewatch the ending because I know that the dog was the hero. And
that's true.
I don't know. I
can't say much about the action in the end because
but I just do feel like the real life murder part of it is kind of I don't know. I found it distasteful to.
I understand.
I just did. I mean, I don't like. It's one thing to do. To tell a story that's essentially historically based thing and not necessarily you're never going to tell it credibly, or it's never going to be exactly what happened in real life. But I just don't really feel like I don't know. I'm not a fan of his alternate history stuff.
I understand, and it didn't. Inglourious Basterds didn't bother me, and I'll be honest, the choice in Once Upon a Time didn't bother me either, because there's that absurdity to it, much in the same way that Death Trap and the Grindhouse movies that he and Rodriguez made together. It kind of ended in a very cartoony kind of way.
Yeah, I think that tone doesn't really speak to me generally,
and that's cool.
It just doesn't. I don't. I mean, I feel like this is a dangerous road talking about a director who literally gets mad at people about talking badly about his movies.
That's okay. You can be mad at me because I don't really.
Well, and I'll tell. I mean, I'm generally a fan, and I do always look forward to his films. I appreciate a lot of his ideas.
You're not alone. He's unbelievably popular, and everybody loves him. And we're very much a minority view.
And I think
that's cool.
For me, the timing too, like this kind of just hyper masculine thing, just hit me really wrong, because I just listened to the audiobook of Alma Katsu's The Hunger, and not to be confused with The Other Hunger, which is a film that I love and a book I love. But this is an alternate history of the Donner Party, and and it goes into supernaturally type of stuff, and there's it's very much, I mean, that's a great tragedy too that happened to real people and was a horrible thing, and we probably shouldn't be making light of it, and yet I enjoyed the hell out of that. So I don't know, it's something just rubbed me wrong, I think. So
that's cool. No, absolutely, man. I'll mention it because it's on my mind. And Jeff Johns, when I talked to him, he's gonna have a new CW show, Stargirl, based on his old comic. And man, I'll tell you, it's great, and I think it's woke in the right ways, and I think it's a really positive woman-centric show. But Luke Wilson obviously has an important part in it. It's a great family show as well, and it really goes into not only the history of the Justice Society, but the legacy characters that made up Infinity Incorporated and the JSA run that he and James Robinson.
James Robinson.
Your brother James, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really great, and I really think it's a good upbeat show for these times, and I really think it's going to hit in the way that I think Smallville managed to connect with people out of 9/11.
Right.
So I mean, and I'll be honest, I don't love all the CW shows, but I mean, there are ones that I like, and this was really, I mean, he let me see the first 5 episodes, and I'm like, okay, great, and it is.
Lucky you. How
about that? I know every now and then I get to be Mr. Showbiz, and I get inside scene. I'm all for it. I think that's terrific. What else do I want to ask you guys? I mean, and we're almost done. We can wrap up if you guys are getting tired. I don't want to, take up your entire evening.
Fine. Ask us the last question.
Yeah, we can't leave it on me being upset with something.
I
guess
I don't want to be downer.
Angry.
All right. There's positive stuff. Again, I come to you guys for what you're reading and what you're seeing and what you're enjoying. And I'll tell you, like I said, I got Turner Classic back last night. I was watching Across 110th Street. And goddamn, I love that movie.
I like that movie. That's that. Yeah, actually, you know what?
Soundtrack.
It's just that's amazing soundtrack. Yeah, I love that.
Oh my god, yes.
You know what we watched recently was Shaft. Like I hadn't seen the first Shaft in ages. It's a fucking great movie. Like it's such an entertaining movie and so well made.
Yes.
Like movies are not particularly well made now in a lot of cases, and like certainly it feels like it to me. And like I was so impressed by how how just well crafted a movie Shaft was. I mean, like we watched Foxy Brown as well because there was like there's a 70s. Yeah, it was on Criterion Channel, like a 70s series that we watched most of. Foxy Brown is a lot of fun as well. And I love Pam Grier, but like, Shaft had it was just a great crime movie. And I was just really impressed by it. I don't think I'd seen it since, VHS when I was in high school or something.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Sure. When it's funny, and again, showing my age, in the early 70s, they made a Shaft TV show. It only lasted for a season.
Oh,
Roundtree was in it. Yeah. It was made by MGM, and it was really weird because it kind of resembled the NBC mystery movie Wheel, but there were only 2 shows that alternated. And of all things, and both were interesting, but completely polar opposites. You had Shaft, and then when Shaft did there, they were 90-minute kind of mini movies. Mm-hmm. Jimmy Stewart played a Southern lawyer named Hawkins.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that show. Right,
Strother Martin was his detective leg man.
And it's 2 things you think of virtually like, I mean, it's
polar opposites. Yes.
Southern lawyer Jimmy Stewart and Shaft. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Listen, John, when you're done with that case, maybe you can come down here and help me. Yeah.
Now this is a crossover. Like I don't know what everybody else is talking about.
Shaft and Hawkins. David Walker wrote he wrote the great comic book. Yeah. Shaft comic book. Yeah. But he also wrote a great Shaft novel.
Oh, cool.
And and Dynamite put that out as well. And every time I see David, and he hasn't come on Word Balloon yet, but we'll eventually get him. But he's terrific. And I'm like, dude, that's such a great book. And he's like, oh God, the original novel and the movie are so inspirational to me.
Yeah. So, one thing, like as far as what we're reading and watching and stuff, like recommended this podcast to me, Within the Wires, which is a kind of like a narrative podcast. That's like a fiction podcast, and was very well done. It's the Welcome to Night Vale people, but it's not a goofy thing. It's kind of like straight. It's straight, and and the way that they are able to use the form, tell the story, and everything. I've listened to the first 2 seasons of it, and I'm super impressed by it. So that's what I'm listening to right now.
And it's a crime drama.
No, it's like I don't even know that it has
history.
It is sort of an alternate history thing, and it's not a it's like told through these kind of like they're allegedly cassette tapes that you listen to that have, the first season is allegedly a sort of motivational tape, but then you discover the story through it as it goes along. It's and the second one is the second season is about like as if they're the audio you would get at a museum to guide you
tour.
And but goes through several different years. They're all by the same character, and it sort of reveals a kind of possible murder mystery-ish thing throughout the season. It like I don't know if it's something you would like exactly, but I want to recommend it to people. I think that I think it's great.
No, I'll tell you, man, I love what's happening with audio drama.
Yeah,
podcasting. And honestly, as a little kid, my older relatives turned me on to old time radio, and the comedies were Jack Benny and stuff, sure, but really the mysteries and the horror, sci-fi, So my buddy Susan Eisenberg, who's animated Wonder Woman and the Justice League cartoons, mm-hmm. She's been working with the company that have been redoing suspense shows. And they've modernized them and taken the old stories and kind of brought them up to date.
That's exciting.
We would really like to do one of these. It's something we've talked about. It's I'm
talk about its own art form.
It is like I'm a huge fan of the Orson Welles stuff, especially the Mercury Theater on the Air stuff, the stuff that's really innovative and interesting, and we've talked about this, whether it's something that we can actually manage. I don't know, but I
consume so many of them. I'd love to make one. But I used to not, because writing, I couldn't, listen to somebody else's story and work with the writing.
Sure.
And with my day job, I'm working very closely, sometimes under a microscope or whatever, and having somebody tell me a story while I'm doing that is fantastic. Like it's totally a different zone. So I started just consuming
tons and tons of these things.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure we've talked about You Must Remember This, the Katrina Longworth.
Katrina Longworth,
and I'll tell you that narrative, and I keep saying this because I want to force myself to do it, because I'm teaching this semester. I'm doing a virtual class now for 2 more weeks at Columbia College here in Chicago. I'm teaching audio production. Prior to that, and I was really ready to start at the beginning of the year, getting it all down. I'd love to do something like You Must Remember This, but covering boxing, and specifically
I bet that would be a huge
that era after Joe Louis retired, when the mob really controlled boxing hard, up until Sonny Liston, the champ before Ali.
Right.
And that's an amazing.
That sounds great.
15 years. Yeah. So, we'll see. I mean, I'm talking a big game. We'll see if I can actually do it. But
you should
really that kind of narrative storytelling. I think is
definitely
100%. That sounds like a great idea.
Cool. Well, there you go.
Totally.
Well, we'll see.
One last thing. Route 66. I've been watching Route 66 all the time. I maybe saw this show. I knew of it obviously, but and I saw maybe some on Nick at Night when I was a kid.
Sure.
But I've been watching this show. Amazing guest stars. Lee Marvin and Walter Matthau, Bruce Dern. Every episode has somebody who's gonna go on to be, or Lee Marvin or wherever, but who's gonna go on to be the iconic people of the late 60s and 70s, and generally a good show. And what amazed me about it a little bit is that in theory, it's about these two guys driving around, and the stories are never about these two guys, right? It's about where to go and what happens there, and whoever the guest stars are. Basically, it's their story. It's not about these two guys that much. It's more like they are just leading you into these interesting little anthology, type stories, and so I'm really enjoying Route 66. It's on Amazon Prime. You can just watch it on Amazon Prime.
You know what I rediscovered, and I'm actually watching it on YouTube, that someone recorded them whenever they were on whatever cable channels they were. Burke's Law, the mid-60s.
I've never watched the show. I know of it. But
Eric Spelling produced it, and it's very much a cop procedural. It's kind of a ridiculous premise, because Gene Barry is a millionaire police captain that has a mansion and a houseboy and a limo, and shows up at the crime scenes. But just as you described with Route 66, tons of amazing guest stars, both much like the great procedurals like Kojak and Miami Vice, where you get people at the end of career and people just beginning, like you said with Route 66. And Mary Astor from the Maltese Falcon, one of her last roles, Burke's Law. And also Elizabeth Scott, another great noir queen. Back for Burke's Law. And Burgess Meredith, and then young Paul Lynde, young Dom DeLuise, and in straight roles.
Right.
Very interesting. So that's my I'll see your Route 66.
Okay.
As always, guys, seriously, great conversation. I really love where it went. I'm going to see if there are any other comments here on the chat back. Let's see. Okay. Steve Rockwood, he would recommend Dark on Netflix. It's German.
We've heard good things about it. It's on the list, so we appreciate it.
There actually is a literal list that we made when this all started.
Yeah, we have made an actual list of TV shows to watch. So
bump that one up.
We will definitely
the top. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
That's good to know. And then let's see here. You mentioned on Twitter that the Stalin Theater picture that you worked on. Who was slated to direct that?
Actually, that was This is the Sprockets, Dieter, Mike Myers character. This was another Mike Myers movie that I worked on, but it didn't.
Sprockets, sure.
Yeah, so like it was, it went along for quite a while. It went pretty far into. We didn't start shooting, but like I had worked on it because I had the relationship of working with Mike, but I also had worked on a couple of movies where the guy who was directing it was Bo Welsh, and he's like one of the greatest production designers. And he was trying. This was going to be his first feature. I had worked with him as a production designer. He designed Men in Black and all of the sort of stylish stuff. Batman Returns. The very sort of stylish stuff, right? And this had the potential to be this sort of, a Mike Myers comedy, but also a kind of stylish movie. And I liked Bo a lot. I got along with him really well. And it didn't, I sort of said this on Twitter, but I'm pretty sure that I ruined this movie. Like, I personally am responsible for taking the movie down because they had a reading at the studio that we had 20 people there, and it was Mike Myers, Will Ferrell, and Catherine O'Hara. Catherine O'Hara is Bo Welsh's wife. They're married, right? So I knew her a little bit through him, and then several great people, great actors, and the reading went really, really well, but I don't laugh easily, and I think it's really. I thought it was really funny. I thought this movie actually was easily the best script of any of the Mike Myers movies, right? And so I'm not a big laugher, right? So I'm sitting there, and as they're doing the reading, I see Mike. He keeps looking at me, right? And he's sneaking glances over towards me, and then as it's going on, I'm trying to laugh more, right, so that it doesn't become awkward. And then the next day, he pulled out of the movie. So it was a giant deal. There were lawsuits. It was a whole big giant deal. And I'm pretty much convinced that if I didn't laugh enough during that reading, I tanked this movie, which would have been Mike Myers' best movie.
Well, and again, I remember Dieter and Sprockets, and it was that kind of craft work, 80s German techno.
Yeah. And this script it was a bit more of a thing. And the script was actually a little bit like one of those scripts that people read that were Around Town thought was really good. And I have no idea how the end product event ended up. I think that the Austin Powers scripts generally tended to be better than the movies that ended up being made, particularly the second one. It was a lot more kind of interesting and irreverent and absurd, and what ended up there was a lot more scatological than what
I thought too much shit jokes too. Right? Yeah, man. I'm like, all right, enough.
But the first, that second script was just called Austin Powers 2: The Wrath of Khan. That was the name on the front of the script, right? And then as if it was that, and then there was a big kind of legal thing at the front. It was, but I wish that Dieter movie had gotten made, and I think that it could have been cool. That writer Jack Handy co-wrote it.
The guy from SNL,
and it was it could have been good, but it never happened. He was referencing this because I put on a bunch of things on Twitter recently where just boards from movies that I worked on that never happened. So. Not so much very recent stuff, because some of that stuff may still happen, but things from, earlier on in Dieter.
No, there's that great podcast, The Blacklist, not to be confused with the NBC show, with James Spader, but where they take on unproduced scripts and act them out audio-wise and stuff. Mm-hmm. And maybe hopefully someone can throw that to those guys, and it'd be fun to hear that.
Yeah, I don't think, but it's a film. It's not going to work. It's like a visual comedy. It wouldn't really work that way, but it could have been good. I think it'll never exist. But yeah, you should look. I put on some boards from the Silver Surfer movie I worked on, and
I'm gonna have to see that
and stuff like that.
Who would have directed that?
This guy Jeffrey Wright, he directed this movie called Romper Stomper that Russell Crowe was in, and I guess an Australian movie, and I think for New Zealand. So whoever,
I think you're right. I think it's
New Zealand get killed. But and he was a really nice guy. The script was never quite there. It was before, obviously before all of this, the modern era of stuff, and it was before the first X-Men movie. So, but yeah, he really wanted Ewan McGregor, and this is '97, so it's before the Star Wars movies and before Phantom Menace. And
as the surfer,
and he wanted freaking what's his name as Galactus, who's obsessed with the idea that what's his name would play Galactus, the guy, he's the bad guy in Beverly Hills Cop.
Victor Maitland. I know exactly what you're talking about.
But he's also this fairly well respected playwright, and
I didn't know that.
And so he loved him as a playwright. He wanted him to play Galactus, but it was it was one of those half-assed sort of movies from back then where they didn't feel like they would be able to afford having him be the Silver Surfer for the entire movie, so he had to basically turn back into a human, whatever, a humanoid person, and be on Earth and be running around trying to get back to being the Silver Surfer the whole time. So it wasn't that, but it was an oddity of how these kind of things developed.
That's interesting. That same actor that you mentioned, that was Victor Maitland in Beverly Hills Cop, was in that same Deep Space Nine with Lawrence Tierney. He was the weapons dealer that Quark works
Stephen Burkoff. His name is Stephen Burkoff. Yeah.
Outstanding. No, I love that guy. Kind of in the same vein as a Christoph Waltz in terms of being exotic for an American audience, but really a powerful, can't take your eyes off the guy. No, he's a massive fan. Let's see. Oh, here, I'm sorry. And well, first I'll say Gore Vidal, Bruce Dern, Silent Running, forgotten science fiction classic. Completely agree.
Yeah, totally.
Dark was good. I also enjoyed 000 and Faudo. The latter reminded me of the best from the Americans and on Amazon Prime.
Well, that's interesting. We haven't seen either of those.
No, not yet.
And I don't know where we can watch 000 and Faudo either.
I don't know. We'll check into that.
Let's see. They're on Netflix. Apparently.
Okay.
Oh, good.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Absolutely. And just remember, Americans when you watch Faudo.
One final thing. We rewatched Soylent Green the other night. And Soylent Green is like the most depressing movie ever made to watch right now. It is exactly what's going on.
Agreed.
I was totally shocked by this. I hadn't seen it in ages.
It was right after we went to the grocery.
Yeah, we just got back from the grocery store. We
couldn't find any tofu. Oh my god!
Yeah, look, it's and so but yeah, no. So just my recommendation: don't watch Soylent Green. Because it's
not right now.
Miserable.
Let's get back to a happy place. What I would say about Soylent Green in its defense, everyone knows, just like Rosebud is the sled in Citizen Kane, Soylent Green is a really great cop procedural.
Yeah.
Oh, I actually thought it was a really good movie.
Into this amazingly sad science fiction.
Yeah.
No, totally.
Say it again. I'm sorry, because we lost the stream for a second.
Cool. So.
Yeah, I don't think I'd seen it since VHS or whatever, and I was actually impressed by the movie. I thought the movie was actually quite a bit better than I remembered it being, but it was too real.
Yeah. No, I mean, again, given what the pandemic has given us, and also just the regular conditions of the homeless and the economic struggle that many face right now, even before the pandemic, it does absolutely feel incredibly real, and it really is set kind of around now.
It's set in 2022. It's just that's what 2022 is going to be. Just like Chuck Heston going around stealing shit from dead people and as a cop and stuff. It's just
Yeah, beef is a scarcity and ridiculous scarcity and stuff. No, Brock Peters plays his cop captain. Yeah, and it's a great film. It's a great movie.
Yeah, Chuck Connors is in it.
That's right. Chuck Connors is indeed in that movie.
I think is that right?
And also the woman that plays T'Pau in Amok Time, the Star Trek.
That's right. I knew that. That's what I thought it was, and I couldn't. Like, I actually meant to look it up. Yeah, you're totally right. Okay, now we're done.
Yeah, we are done. No, it's all. Guys, as always, wonderful conversation. This is exactly the kind of conversation I was hoping for. I know that not only the viewers, but the Word Balloon audience, the listening audience is going to be happy to check in with you guys. As always, continued success. Looking forward to the new stuff when comics resume. And all the best. And thanks for playing tonight.
Yeah.
All right, thanks a lot, John.
Looking forward to your podcast about boxing.
Yeah, I think this boxing podcast is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Well, give me a couple months, and I will definitely. I'll want a critical ear. So
all right.
I'll let you guys in on the preview. So
thank
you very much, and thank you everybody for watching. We'll do more Word Balloon live streams next week. What's in the can right now that I can tell you really fast? Got a great talk with JMD Mateus. Great talk with Rick Green, Canadian comedian who did the show Prisoners of Gravity, which was a great television show that interviewed comic creators in the early 90s. Yeah. Joe Pruitt coming up. Great 3-hour conversation with Ed Brubaker that'll be chopped in 2 parts. So plenty to look forward to in the days ahead here on Word Balloon. But thanks a lot for watching tonight. And thank you again to Karina and Gabe for hanging out. And we'll talk to you next time. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.